On this week's show, we have a brand new catalog, The Matrix turns 20, and Shredder heads for outer space. All happening right now on Previews World Weekly.
What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday, it's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
And I'm Thea, and we're here every week to remind you guys to stop at a comic shop and get involved in what's happening in the world of comics. And of course, if you're enjoying the show or you're just tuning in for the first time, be sure to give us a like, share, and follow to keep all the nerd news coming.
That was breathless. That was impressive.
Bam!
Nailed it. So there's a new catalog out this week.
Yes.
We just want to give a shout out to that. On the cover this week, I have to point this out. Kieran Gillen and Brian K. Vaughan did not write this book.
Oh my gosh.
It's a little confusing, right? Like, and we were in a marketing meeting yesterday, and I was like, there's definitely a Venn diagram of Brian K. Vaughan fans and Kieran Gillen fans that would be excited about this.
Yeah.
But it is Simon Spurrier, who is a very good writer, and the book is called Alienated. It sounds a little bit to me like Gremlins, but with an alien more specifically.
I'm here for that.
And a bunch of kids who try to adopt this alien, but it turns out that he's a super predator.
He's really cute, though.
Yeah, but he doesn't do cute things,
He's
apparently.
an adorable super predator.
And if you read any of Simon Spurrier's books, you know he doesn't do cute. So these things are this is gonna turn. Also, shout out to the artist Chris Wildgoose, because that's got to be his government name, right?
I hope so.
I hope actually it is.
I really hope so.
I hope it is. Also in the front, and I'm going to use this to segue into something else, specifically The Mandalorian.
Whoop, whoop.
Star Wars, The Mandalorian. There's the Legends in 3D bust series from Diamond Select Toys, and it just so happens that they are jumping on to the Mandalorian, the main character at the very least. I always forget his name. I always want to call him Jango, and I know that's not his name. His name's not Jango Fett. But The Mandalorian Legends in 3D bust is something you can pre-order now from Diamond Select Toys, from your local comic shop, of course.
We don't have a name for the main character of the
Is there no name for him? Oh, okay. See, I'm super behind. I've
He's
only
just the
kind of
Mandalorian
watched
at
it.
this point.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, that works. I like that. I'm down with that.
It's good.
It's good. Yeah, you're a fan of it?
I am absolutely a fan of it.
I've had
It's been a while since a Star Wars anything has immediately been like, this is Star Wars.
just pulled you right in.
Just right in off the bat.
Okay.
And his character is largely quiet.
Okay,
so
right,
there's
yeah.
a lot of visual world building. There's a lot of just story that you see.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
So from the get-go, I was like, this is a Star Wars.
This is Star Wars.
I have been needing a Star Wars. I don't have to feel like, okay, when are we getting to the part where this feels like a Star Wars
Right,
thing?
yeah.
Which
No.
I felt with the new films. And even with Solo, actually especially with Solo.
Especially
For me,
Solo, okay.
Solo, it was halfway through before I was like, okay, this is Star Wars.
Okay,
But
interesting.
yeah,
Huh.
Mandalorian,
Good stuff.
very good.
Okay.
Very, very
No,
good.
I've only watched I want to say about 15 minutes of the first episode.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting that there's George Lucas had a very specific directing style. And so when you're talking about something feeling like Star Wars, it's definitely what you're tapping into.
Yes.
And there's a stillness to his directing style
Yes.
that from the first 15 minutes I saw,
They are nailing.
they're definitely doing, which I like. And there's always something kind of jarring about J.J. Abrams' way of directing Star Wars.
Sure.
I mean, this is normal directing style, but it
Yeah,
always kind
but
of
it's
felt
not really Star Wars, right?
It kind of felt a little too 2019 to me. So yeah, also I thought this was funny. So Anita Sarkeesian, I don't know if you're familiar with her. Okay, good. You shouldn't be.
Okay.
Okay, but she made a comment on Twitter earlier this weekend about how the show had no female protagonists or no female characters on it.
Excuse me?
You're right, yeah. So
First off, you're wrong.
well, first of all,
By the way.
the ratio, right, on Twitter of people who just jumped down her throat versus the number of people that liked her comment was out of control. She's kind of a pot stirrer. That's kind of
One
her
of those.
reputation. She made her home in video
Yeah.
games. She's
Oh, good.
She's definitely a byproduct of clickbait culture. Probably was at the forefront of it, to be honest.
I already hate her.
Yeah. So, but it was very amusing. If you ever want to get a good laugh and just
scroll through
just
some
scroll
of the
through the
retweets
comments
and
and like, you know, get some and just support your fellow Star Wars fans because people definitely corrected her. Also, some sad news. I kind of feel like every time around this year we kind of get like people who have passed away, and it just so happens that Tom Lyle passed away. And for me personally, he did a book called Robin, Joker's Wild, which is one of the first Batman books I ever read as a kid.
Cool.
He also, I think, more famously designed the Ben Reilly Spider-Man costume.
Cool.
So, you know, I know back in, let's say somewhere in the last maybe last 10 years, people have really started to kind of gravitate and be a little bit more positive towards the Ben Reilly Spider-Man interpretation.
Cool.
Well, he created that. Like, you know, it was always kind of a bit of a sticking point for some Spider-Man fans. But in the last couple of years, we've seen people have, like, really become fans. We've seen the fans of it kind of come out.
Cosplayed a lot
Oh, yeah.
recently.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
So, you
Nice.
know, it's really unfortunate that he passed away.
Absolutely.
You know, he died of an aneurysm, which is really unfortunate. There is I believe, a GoFundMe to help with his widow out with the funeral
no.
costs. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Which also dovetailed into a conversation about piracy, actually, because
Sure.
yeah, because a lot of there was a conversation that's been going on. I think one of the creators of Crowd, and then I saw Donnie Cates talking about it, how it's really unfortunate that like this guy created something, and like he doesn't have enough money to cover both his hospital bill and his funeral costs,
Right?
and that they have to
Come
do
on,
they have to
guys.
crowdfund
Yeah.
his funeral. You
That's
know,
rough.
so
Folks,
yeah.
support the people that you love.
Yeah.
Come
So
on.
like, yeah, don't pirate stuff, guys. And we'll probably do a social swamp about that next week because it's been a very heated conversation the last couple
Sure.
of days.
Absolutely.
On a more positive note, or just more interesting, I should say, Marvel Comics #1 sold at the Heritage Auction in Texas for $1.26 million,
What?
which, from my understanding, is probably the most that any of these have, like, any Marvel comic has sold in an auction of this
Good Lord.
nature. And it's doubly impressive because this book got graded at a 9.4, and it's from 1939. Wow. Like, something to be like, there aren't books that come out in 2019 that would get a 9.4.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Like, I own some of them, truthfully. So, like, yeah, just $1.26 million.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Wowee.
Just a piece of history, right? And I just think it's
All
really
right.
impressive.
Yeah,
so,
that's cool.
Yeah, just a fun little bit of news. But now it's time for What's at Comic Shops. Anime is here, and she's going to show us what's hitting stores today. And then when we come back, we'll give you some of our picks. Check it out.
Hey Preview World, Mia here with a look at what's at comic shops for the week of November 27th, 2019. So let's jump on in. And we're just getting started. The world of comics has even more to offer, so stop at a shop already, and you might just find your new favorite thing. See ya!
Thanks, Mia. And of course, that's just a taste of what's available at your local comic shop today. If you want to see a full list, head on over to previewsworld.com/new releases to see what we've got. What you reading?
Conan 2099.
Ooh.
It's a one-shot. It's not an ongoing series. Marvel is currently doing this big 2099 push. So it's Conan in the future.
Cool.
And also it spins out of some of the events of Savage Avengers because, like, Marvel made it clear, like, last year that they were going to integrate Conan into the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And I think everybody was like, oh, yeah, sure, right, whatever. But no, they're, like, dead
Here we
serious
go.
about it. Like, I mean, like, first of all, he's on an Avengers team right now.
Cool.
And then on top of that, now he's doing this 2099 thing. And look,
Nice.
the only hard sell I'm going to give you guys is this. He has a lightsaber. Like, it's not a Star Wars lightsaber, but he literally has a
Ostensibly.
light blade. Like, yeah.
Fun.
Fun. Like,
And dangerous.
and dangerous, right, yeah. I mean, he's a barbarian, for God's sake.
Oh, what are you going to do with that, Conan?
He's a barbarian, he's a destroyer,
Oh,
like,
I'm concerned now.
and he has a lightsaber. So, yeah. I just expect this to be bloody fun. It's
Good reading.
Jerry Dugan, and I hope I'm saying his name right, Raj Antonia. And from the looks of the cover, it looks great. And
that
Jerry
cover is
Dugan
really neat.
wrote Savage Avengers, so expect this to be a lot of fun.
Cool.
So what are you
Here for
looking
it.
forward to this week?
So I apparently slept on this little mini series, and they're already on to issue 3. But this is one of those like, look at that cover, and then also look at the subject matter. That's not totally Thea. This is Ether: The Disappearance of Violet Bell. And it's about an interdimensional detective whose name is Boone Diaz, and he's trying to hunt down the kidnapped fairy Violet Bell.
Nice.
And he's run afoul of the 7 lucky gods, and then he has to end up relying on them to help him find said Violet Bell.
Yeah.
But yeah, looks like really fun artwork. I always love modern fairy stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's also interdimensional is really fun, because that's a combination I feel like I don't see.
No, yeah, those are two wildly
Fairy
different
and
concepts. Yeah.
So the sci-fi fantasy, like,
Right, yeah, just slapped together.
sandwich. But it looks like a lot of fun for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's David Rubin. I think he's the artist. And like, yeah, his stuff is just great. It's just kinetic and it just moves and
Here
like
for it.
it's just colorful and yeah. He's a real one, that David Rubin.
Gimme.
Another one I'm looking forward to this week. It's the Matrix 20th anniversary.
It is.
And I have a weird relationship with the Matrix.
Oh,
like
yeah?
I'm in love with the endless potential of the concept.
Fair.
I think most people did not like the last 2 movies.
Also
Like,
fair.
I love the first film.
Of course.
I think the Animatrix is one of the coolest things,
Yeah.
like ever.
It
right?
really is. That is.
And there's a Jada Pinkett video game about her character in the Matrix that apparently everybody loves. Yeah, I've never played it,
Didn't
but
know that.
apparently like people love it.
Fair enough.
But that said, like more world building outside of the Matrix universe, right? I'm all for that. They're actually apparently there's going to be a sequel coming sooner or later.
All right.
Right, from one of the Wachowskis. So, and this is like an anthology book. It's got some heavy hitters. I mean, it's got Jeff Darrow, who of course was like the concept artist for The Matrix, but also
Nice.
he's a comic book creator as well.
Very cool.
It's got Dave
Very
Gibbons, who did Watchmen. It's got Michael Avon Oeming, who
All
did
right.
Powers. David Lapham, who
Wow.
did Stray Bullets. Like, I mean, this is a reprint because this book came out like during the Matrix's heyday. But like, I've never gotten a chance to read it. I kind of glossed over because I was a little salty about the sequels when this book came out. But
Fair enough.
now I've gotten some distance from
Got
it,
some perspective.
and I'm ready to kind of like
matured.
embrace the Matrix. Yeah, so yeah, I'm with
Embrace
it.
the Matrix.
Embrace the Matrix. There you go. This is a name for a sequel. There you go. Haven't we already embraced the Matrix? I mean, I got a smartphone right here.
You right.
And a tablet. We both do. But yeah, 20th anniversary, nice hardcover, and yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm really
I was
curious
bummed
about
that
it.
I missed that they released it in theaters, the first one.
Oh, they
re-released
re-released it. Oh, sorry, yeah, because it's the anniversary. Makes
But we
sense.
missed it.
Oh, damn,
I didn't
right?
get to see it. I would
Yeah.
have really liked to see it.
That would have been cool to see. Like, it really holds up, which I think is really
it
good
really
about
does. I
it.
have a lot of friends who ended up being able to see it, and every one of them is like, I expected it to be like super 90s, and then it turned out that it was really good.
Yeah, right,
and
right.
it's like, well, that's because everything was trying to beat it in that day after it came out. So that's
Yeah.
why you feel like super 90s. It's
Right,
Like,
yeah, right.
But
But it's,
yeah,
it's
still very good.
It's not the it's the thing that was often imitated. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's like why not? But yeah, no, a
For
cool
sure.
one. So what's your pick this week?
Another little throwback, and of course I've talked about this one on the show before. It's Cobra Kai.
Oh, yeah.
The Karate Kid saga continues. This is issue number 2. And this is telling the story, the original story, from Johnny's perspective. So it just continues the same story from the original movie, but from the perspective of ostensibly the bad guy, right?
Okay, nice.
So
All right.
just a little fun relook at that,
Yeah.
which is additionally great because the TV show exists.
I really need to watch that
You
show.
really need to
I
watch
really
that
need to
show.
watch it, yeah.
I was so surprised at how good it is.
Yeah, right.
And how funny it is, and how it's just very Cobra Kai, very Karate Kid, like perfect package. It has
Right.
the same 2 main characters, the same actors, like now, and it's it's very, very good.
Now I saw a couple of trailers for it, and I was like, "This looks hilarious."
It's great.
Right.
It is definitely hilarious in like the best way.
Right.
And also still sort of like that little cheesy 80s style thing going on,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's more modernized because it's all taking place
now
currently.
Right.
So it's cool to see that they managed to maintain that
Yeah, no, I'm missing out. I know I'm missing out. That's one of those things on my list of to-dos. That and The Mandalorian. I need to watch both of those right now. I'm just behind.
Stop falling asleep.
I guess, these days are long.
Yeah, life is hard. The struggle is real.
Before the show, we were both like, oh, all right. This is a long week.
Yep.
In terms of big ticket items this week, I'll go first. X-Force #2 has hit comic shops today.
Yeah.
It's, of course, from Marvel Comics. It's part of the Dawn of X storyline. I'm not that familiar with Benjamin Percy, and I actually have, #1's been sitting at home. I have not read it yet just because I'm behind on everything this week for some reason. But
It's Thanksgiving week, whatever.
it is. But, spoiler alert, close your ears for a hot second, throw your headphones off or whatever. Issue 1, they killed Professor Xavier.
What?
Right, which is, like, oh wow, they killed Professor Xavier again, right?
Again, right.
But given the nature of Dawn of X and how much of an upheaval this has been of the X-Men lore,
Yeah.
It's really surprising to have that happen so soon. And I imagine that like a lot of interesting things are going to spin out of it. And it just so happens I ended up reading other X books, but not this one during this time. And we're already seeing kind of like Magneto is taking a leadership position.
All right.
Which is already kind of like, oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
okay.
like,
Well,
we
okay.
know this usually ends well.
Right, yeah. So, but it's interesting. So, like, if that didn't entice you to pick up X-Force #1 and #2, then I don't know what will. Check it out. It's actually pretty cool.
Word.
What other big ticket items can people look out for?
The time is now, y'all. Constantine is back.
Yeah.
So you have John Constantine Hellblazer, issue #1. And, of course, our old buddy is back in the game.
Yeah.
So he's back in London, and some dark stuff's going on. And, of course, a small-time gang lord found himself dealing with a bunch of supernatural stuff. And without any allies to call on and nothing left to call his own, John doesn't have much choice but to take a paycheck from one of London's worst so he can help destroy the supernatural mess.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And of course, it's one of those things where, like, we've talked again about this on the show. It's supposed to be an open and shut exorcism, but that's not a thing.
No such thing.
No such thing as a textbop
Right.
exorcism.
No way.
They're always a hot mess.
Yes, this is very true.
Needless to say, this one is also a hot mess. So if you guys love all that stuff, go on and check it out.
Yeah, and actually that is Simon Spurrier, who also does Alienated. So there you go.
Yeah.
We have some preview pages on previewsworld.com too. So if you go to our search engine and just type in Hellblazer #1, you can take a look inside before you buy. But now it's time for an X-Force trailer.
Yeah.
Actually, so I just talked about X-Force #1, but now here's a little bit from the creators of that book, and they're going to talk to you about what makes this book stand out from all the other X titles currently out. Check this out.
With X-Force, we're doing something really unique. Here you have a mutant nation. As a result of that, X-Force is not just a splinter group of badasses. This is the CIA of the mutant world.
In the X-Men universe, X-Force used to be the attack dogs. Now they're not so much that. They've got a much larger picture that they have to be aware of in terms of not just the mutant stage, but the world stage.
This book has a really cool cast. It has a really cool combination of characters. I mean, Wolverine, obviously, it's great to have him back with the X-Men and doing awesome stuff. But also, he's hanging out with Quentin Quire. He's hanging out with Jean Grey. Beast is in it. Sage and Domino. It's a really great cast, and I'm very excited to see how people like him.
The thing that excites me most about this series is working with Josh Cassara and working with Dean White on colors. We are a true team.
Josh Cassara has been a penciler that's been working with Marvel for a while, and this is next level for him. He's being colored by Dean White, who is doing the most amazing job of bringing out his pencils, inks, and tones and bringing them to life.
Benjamin Percy wrote the Wolverine podcast over the last year, which were super, super cool. I was really impressed when I heard them. He was a natural to reach out to, and he jumped at the chance to write X-Force. It was the thing he wanted to do most.
We wanted X-Force to have more noir qualities, a grittier edge. My jaw drops every time that art pops up in my inbox.
It is brutal. This is a book that pulls no punches, and that's what finally we've been waiting to see since, House of X and Powers of 10 have been coming out.
In House of X, Professor Xavier said very strongly, no more. In X-Force, they're going to prove it every issue.
X-Force is going to be the most shadow-soaked, the most poisonous, the most troublesome and upsetting. But it'll also be a hell of a lot of fun.
And that's a look inside X-Force from Marvel Comics. Again, part of the Dawn of X storyline. And apparently it's the one to read right now. Of course, you have the main X book, but this is one that I've heard a lot of really positive things about.
Cool.
So definitely pick it up. It's available at your local comic shop today. Now it's time for news.
It is.
So Thea's here, and she's going to tell us what's been going on in the world of comics for the last 7 days. Check it out.
On November 2nd, 2019, original artwork illustrated by Kevin Eastman depicting the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character Shredder was launched into space attached to the Braskem Recycler to reside on the International Space Station, thanks to Mountain View, California aerospace company Made in Space. The Braskem Recycler is designed to turn plastic waste and 3D printed objects into the type of feedstock that serves as the raw material for the Made in Space additive manufacturing facility, already on the space station. A shredder is one of the features of this facility, and now a Kevin Eastman spaceflight-approved Sharpie on metal illustration of the shredder has been attached to the structure of these devices. 2 of the illustrations will remain on the International Space Station, and 1 will be returned to Kevin next year.
Huh.
It's really cool.
That's kind of cool.
It's really cool.
His artwork goes to space, and it comes, and he gets to keep
one.
it.
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
I love that. Shredder attached to the shredder.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, right. I love that.
That's good. Next up, during a keynote presentation at the National Council of Teachers of English opening ceremony, author, actor, and activist George Takei announced that his New York Times best-selling graphic memoir, They Called Us Enemy, will be published in Spanish in North America as part of a new Spanish-language initiative from IDW Publishing. It's been my life's mission to tell the story of the cruel and unjust incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II, and I'm so honored by the outpouring of support for my graphic memoir, They Called Us Enemy, said Takei. They Called Us Enemy will join Sega's popular Sonic the Hedgehog and Red Panda and Moon Bear by Cuban-American cartoonist Jared Rossello as the debut wave of translated graphic novel titles, slated for release in June 2020. The first comprehensive in-house Spanish-language program from a major American graphic novel publisher, this initiative is especially fitting for IDW Publishing, a company headquartered in San Diego, California, just miles from the US-Mexico border. IDW Publishing's Spanish-language editions will be released in June of 2020. After the shocking conclusion to the first-ever Buffy and Angel comic book event, Hellmouth, comes a stunning new era for the Buffyverse in Ring of Fire. Is this an all-new direction for the Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel comic book series beginning in Angel and Spike number 9? That's right, it's a new name for a new direction in February of 2020 as acclaimed filmmaker and writer Brian Edward Hill and rising star artist Gleb Melnikov, along with series creator and story consultant Joss Whedon, plunge the City of Angels into mayhem. Angel and Spike number 9 features main covers by artist Dan Panosian, along with variant covers by acclaimed artists Vanessa R. Del Rey, Scott Bonocristiano, and Jonas Scharf. Print copies of Angel and Spike number 9 will be available for sale on February 26th. And last but not least, Marvel Entertainment and Tsuburaya Productions are excited to announce a collaboration that will bring new Ultraman stories to comics and graphic novels. Unveiled at Tokyo Comic-Con, this new collaboration will launch in 2020. Ultraman has been a pop culture classic ever since its introduction in the 1960s, resulting in more than 50 years of stories told on screen and in the pages of manga and comics. Today, Ultraman continues to be a worldwide phenomenon, but fans will always remember the groundbreaking thrill and wonder of the first generation of Ultraman that started it all. Beginning next year, Marvel will expand that iconic era of the Ultras through the lens of Marvel's art and storytelling. Story and creative team details will be shared at a later date, so stay tuned for more information and updates.
Cool. I think that's Alex Ross art. Might be. Featured on screen right now. Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of Power Rangers and you're not hip to Ultraman, I don't know why I said hip, but whatever. You're doing yourself a disservice because, all roads go back to that particular character.
It's true.
But now it's time for Toy Chest. So Natasha's going to take it away, and she's going to show us what's hitting comic shops today in the toy aisle. Check it out.
Hey Previews World, Natasha here to give you a look inside the Previews Toy Chest. Let's find out what's at comic shops for the week of November 27th, 2019. That's not all. Before heading to your local comic shop, be sure to check out previewsworld.com/new releases. There you'll find a complete rundown of everything a toy collector could possibly want.
And be sure to catch Natasha regularly at previewsworld.com Talking Toys, where she shows you all the new stuff that's hitting comic shops today, hitting comic shops in the future. I don't know why my voice went so high, and has already hit comic shops in the past. So.
Nailed it.
Anyway, but yeah.
As usual, many Batmans.
Many Batmans, but something caught your eye though.
That Catwoman.
Yeah.
I didn't actually realize that that's her first appearance
Yeah,
outfit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very, very Vixen-y, which is right up your alley, I guess.
Purple.
Right, and purple, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But we also had the Captain Marvel featured in there.
Yeah.
And that's a Gentle Giant exclusive, well, Gentle Giant release.
Yep.
It's based off the Scotty Young design. Yep. And guess what, guys? We're giving it away.
Here she is.
And we kind of abused the box a
Yeah,
little
her
bit.
box
I'm
has seen
sorry.
better days.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's a goof on our part.
But
Some people will be like, oh, that's what Diamond always does. See, that's just mean. You don't have to say that.
no, it's just
But
Troy.
that's just Troy. No,
Can't
it's,
take
it's
him anywhere.
definitely not me.
So anyway, if you guys want to win her, hit us up on social media wherever you can find us and let us know who is binary.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take entries until next week and pick one of you guys to win Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And of course, we have last week's winner
Yes, we do.
of the Deceased hardcover.
Oh, yeah.
And that is Jesse Clark, who said, I haven't read Marvel Zombies or Deceased, so I can't form an informed opinion based on those arcs or series. Though I'd love to, hint, hint. And the general Marvel versus DC debate still hasn't been won, so I'd wager that whoever isn't a zombie would come together and either cure or purge the undead, because that's what heroes do. Verdict, Zombies 0, comic book fans, all the points.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, like, because is placed that way, like, why it's got the brackets around it. Like, is that, I'm assuming it's a quote from something.
I
but
guess so.
Is that, like, yeah, is that, yeah, let us know if, like, I don't know what that quote is from.
Explain yourself.
I thought it was from Serenity or Firefly or something like that at one point in time, but I don't know. I have no idea. So, yeah. Anyway, congratulations. You won a copy of Deceased. And, you know, I love this answer. I thought it was, like, pretty well thought out.
Yeah,
And, like, yeah,
despite the fact that he hasn't
right, yeah,
read
yeah.
either of them.
Right, but he really
Still
set the
good.
stage for his answer. I was
Yes,
like,
he
you know
did.
what, I like this answer. It's a good answer. But now, how about a trailer?
Ooh.
So there's this book called Over the Ropes. It's coming out from Mad Cave Studios. We're actually probably going to have an interview. We actually definitely going to have an interview on our website soon.
Cool.
But before that is dropped on our site, check out this trailer so you can find out more about it. Over the Ropes. And that was Over the Ropes from Mad Cave Studios. And like I pointed out earlier, we're going to have an interview later this week. Actually, next week. Actually, no, I'm not going to make any promises. How about that?
Eventually.
Eventually, right. But like, yeah, we'll have an interview with the writer later. And on top of that, if you want to check out more, you can see the preview pages on previewsworld.com right
Nice.
now. But now it's time for Social Swamp.
Fact.
So let's go.
Woo. We're back at it again. It's time for Social Swamp, and we wanted to know, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, what you guys are thankful for in the world of comics. And we asked you guys this last year, right? And we got some good responses, so we wanted to figure out if you guys had some good ones this year. And sure enough,
You did.
you do! First up, we have Barb Kleber, who said, I'm thankful for all of the amazing stories from all the publishers, especially the kids' comic books. My grandkids love comics, and they want to read them. They even ask for them. Their reading skills have excelled since being introduced to comic books. So wholesome.
So awesome. I
love
it.
that.
Yeah, that's great.
The children. Do it for the kids.
Do it for the kids.
Charlie B said, I'm thankful for the continued rise of queer creators making diverse comics. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
It's a storytelling tool.
For sure.
And if you want some diverse concepts, that's the best way to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Adam Bunch said, I'm thankful for good letterers. They get overlooked and only seem to get attention when it's bad. Thank you to all the good letterers in the industry. You're key to a good book.
Yeah, I love that.
That is a really good point.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's interesting. Like, if it's wrong, you notice it, but if it's right, you don't.
You don't, right? Yeah.
It's one of those things also, like in film.
No, absolutely right. Actually, it's funny you mentioned. I just was talking to someone about like it's supposed to look easy.
Yeah.
You know, like if it looks hard, then it's
probably not great.
probably not good.
Yeah,
right?
it should be completely effortless.
Yeah, the same thing with comics.
Meanwhile, lots of effort.
Yeah, maximum effort.
Maximum effort, yep. Tracy Lee said, I'm thankful for the existence of comic books. Wouldn't have made it through many things growing up without them. I hear
Yeah,
that.
I like that one. Yeah.
More so books for me, but still.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely being, having the escapism.
Oh yeah, for
It's
sure.
so helpful
It's
and
still
important.
Still is actually.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And finally, we have Paul, who said, I'm thankful for the sheer amount of time and work artists put into creating the books I love.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I love
Yeah.
that. That's great. Yeah, it's so much of the year I feel is spent debating points and like people kind of like forming their opinions based on like what side they're on and all this other stuff. And like it's just important that we give the followers, give our viewers, give the people who visit our site an opportunity to just enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really why we do this show. Like, the narrative around comics is just, it can be so many things all at once, and sometimes it's not necessarily a good thing. And just to kind of like, just come together and enjoy the medium, the format that is comic books is important.
Take a little step back from your box of opinions and just be like, but ultimately I enjoy this.
All right. That's perfect. Absolutely love that. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. We'll probably do that every year for that reason.
Good.
But that's about it for us, right?
Coming to the end.
So I did a bad thing last week.
Uh-oh.
I was supposed to mention local comic shop day on last week's show, and I did not do that.
Because it was this past weekend,
Because it was this past weekend.
Womp womp.
Yeah, so I apologize to every comic book shop, because of course we're here to prop up comic book stores in general.
Absolutely.
But what we have now is our comic shop shout out this week. So what is it?
So this week we're actually going to leave you with some photos from local comic book. I keep trying to say that too.
I keep wanting to say comic book,
local
right?
comic book shop day.
Yes.
Comic shop day.
Comic shop
local
day.
comic shop day.
Yes.
Local comic shop day.
There you
Guys,
go. Everybody. Kyle,
together now.
Kyle.
Local comic shop
day.
Nailed
Thank
it.
you. There you go.
We'll get there eventually, my friends. Anyway, we're going to give you a look at the event that happened this past weekend.
Yeah.
And of course, if you want to have your favorite comic book shop shouted out on the show, leave us a comment, use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS, tell us what they are, and you could get a feature.
Cool. And actually, I did have to pull images from previous years as well, so you're getting a nice range of stuff.
All
so
right.
yeah,
A wide overlook
right, exactly.
on the event itself.
But it happens every year around this time, so definitely keep an eye out for it, even if we neglect to bring it up to you on the show. Oops.
We're bad.
But that's it for Previews World Weekly this week.
True.
It's time to gorge.
Turkey.
Turkey.
Give me the turkey.
Turkey, mac and cheese, stuffing. Let's get that going. I've been one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
And I'm Thea, and we'll see you at the spinner rack.
Thanks for watching Previews World Weekly. If you like the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes.